Good afternoon, Atlanta. It is Friday, March the 15th. You're listening to the WCEG Network, your worldwide empowerment group. I am Herman Anderson.
Gustavo Gurriel.
Elson McGhee.
Our other co-host, Anthony, is not with us today.
Anthony C. Aiken is doing his duties of judging. He's judging today.
And we ask you to like us on Facebook. Also go to YouTube. Follow us on YouTube at the WCEG Network. That's really the best way. We're streaming live, so take a look. And you can also call in and join the conversation at 617-619-1402. You can follow us on Twitter. So we're going to get started. There's been a lot going on this week in current event that affect veterans locally, nationally. So we'll start with what's happening in Washington.
Yes, this week I should say, a lot of things have happened in Washington. The vote for the appropriation or misappropriation, we should say, of the funds by the president is going to be, was voted on, and he's saying that he's going to veto it because he wants to have the money for the wall. So that is something that we are going to keep an eye on and keep track of. Today also there was a massacre of 49 individuals in New Zealand, something that is happening not only here, but is happening all over the world now, and using the United States as an example or as a tool to justify some of the things that they're doing out there, which is not necessarily a good thing for us.
Well, that's true, and we're gonna move on. But one thing that happened, the budget was put out, but the money has not been actually approved to take care of veterans in the budget. But if it is, it would be an improvement. And Reverend McGhee, I know you always got your political hot button, so what's on your mind?
Well, thank you, Herman. Thank you guys for having me here today. One of the things that's on my mind is that veterans should be making sure they register to vote.
Yes.
And we need to give our vote some sense this time. We are one of the highest voting blocks in the country. We always go to the poll, those of us that are registered and vote. But are we attaching our votes to somebody that's going to champion our causes? See, one of the things that's happening with us, we vote and we stand back. We are either party affiliated or we are not. And we don't follow up on the issues that we have after the elections to make sure that these people that we are electing represent us. Now we're talking about the budget. The budget has been proposed, and that's where it's supposed to go by the president. But he has a fixation on separating us as a nation.
Yeah.
A house divided against itself cannot stand.
Cannot stand.
And we need, as veterans, this is a time that we need to start thinking about the democracy, the Constitution that we are served to uphold. I think it's still our responsibility. We took a pledge to defend this country and the Constitution against all foes, domestic and foreign.
Yep.
Now, how do we do that? We do that by making sure that the political system we have in place works. Now, we shouldn't have a Congress we got the three branches of government, Congress, the judiciary, and the executive. Now
Yep.
the executive is the executioner. I mean, he carry out the laws that's supposed to be passed by Congress. If a law is not passed by Congress, he has no authority except through executive orders to carry that out. But an executive order, can it be against the Congress? These are questions that veterans need to be asking themselves as we approach this year's election. You know, politics is always local.
Yes.
It starts local and it goes national.
And then goes national.
Now,
right.
we can't forget all of the local elections that's coming up this year,
Right.
and how we need to stand together as a veteran community to make sure that these people that we're electing on the local level are communicating what we need on the national level.
Those are the things that, you know, affect you on the day-to-day basis.
Yes.
The local politicians are the ones that, you know, help you out or don't help you out. You know, it depends. So we need to make sure that our vote, when it comes to local politicians, go to those that are, you know, sympathetic to our cause, the cause of the veterans, the cause of the millions of veterans that we have in our area.
And we don't want to forget about our responsibility to our family. See, we have already earned benefits. You know, a lot of people call them VA benefits, but I reject that notion. VA has not earned any benefits. The VA is the entity that was designed by Congress to deliver our benefits.
Right.
Now, we know as veterans that is more a notion than a fact.
Right.
You know, I mean, the VA is designed in a way that it could function better if we look at, you know, several things that's going wrong at VA. We have to make sure that when we are going to the VA, whatever division we're going to, that we are communicating our position.
Right.
And to make sure that these positions are clarified in a way that we get the benefits that we deserve, or that we've earned. And this is something that VSOs are supposed to be partners with VA to make sure that veterans are getting their benefits.
Well, that's true. And just to expand on that a little bit, there are, as Reverend McGhee mentioned, there are different departments that you're dealing with. You may be dealing with the medical department for medical treatment, and if you are looking at pension, disability benefits, you're dealing with a different organization within the VA, which is all part of the VA.
Veterans Administration.
Right. And also, speaking of veteran services officers, there are several ways to do that. I mean, the ones that the major organizations, Reverend McGhee's organization, Vietnam Veterans of America, DAV, American Legion, a lot of organizations have veteran service officers that are compensated by that organization, so they don't work for the VA. So, in their Georgia Department of Veteran Services that has veteran service officers. So there are a lot of ways to get connected to a veteran service officer, and I totally agree with Reverend McGhee. Whichever option you choose, you will get better results if you are working with a service officer.
Talking about that, the Vietnam Veterans of America, Reverend McGhee's organization of Greater Metro Atlanta, Chapter 1118 of 621 Memorial Drive, will have a community rally to support the Vietnam veterans on Saturday, March 23rd, 2019, on St. Patrick's Day celebration. On Saturday, March 23rd of 2019, the celebration, the community rally to support the veterans of Greater Atlanta. Reverend McGhee, what can you add to this?
Now, actually, it's a community rally to support veterans of all generations.
Of all generations.
See, one of the things that they're using to separate us and to get us divided so we're not pulling our votes together It's the VA serves every generation of veterans.
Veterans, right?
I mean, the reality of it is that when I came home from Vietnam after being wounded in combat, there was no such thing as post-traumatic stress disorder.
Right.
I was diagnosed in Vietnam with combat fatigue.
Right.
And the history of that disorder is up for discussion if you want to call in and talk about it. But the reality of it is how is the VA treating all generations of veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder today? They are not doing very well with that particular issue, and we need to make sure that we are focusing people on the issue that we got before them. So one of the things that we'll be doing at the rally, we're going to be talking about issues, things that veterans are concerned with every day. One of them is veteran businesses that actually hire people in the community. Veterans got a benefit called, you can get a business loan if you got a good credit score. Veterans homes, what cities are giving incentives for veterans to buy homes in their cities.
Right.
Atlanta is one of those cities. Incentives for veterans to go in business. What incentives are veterans getting to go in business? You hear the city's always giving big corporations some kind of incentive for them to go in business. They need to look at this for veterans businesses. Policy and training commands for police reactions to veterans in crisis. See, one of the things that we know as veterans, you were taught you was taught how to shoot to kill or shoot to maim.
Right.
We got too many police killing of veterans now.
Veterans with no reason. For no reason.
So what do we look at for change with that? We look to the police department. They need to have training commands. They need to have policies in place that make sure that when you use your weapon, you're using it properly.
Exactly.
We need also. We need the city of Atlanta, Metro Atlanta, all these 18 counties that we call Atlanta, to come together to form a combined homeless task. Homeless task. See, homelessness, whether it's with veterans or non-veterans, is a side effect of the way we're doing business in this country.
Exactly.
Right now, you got more vacant buildings in this city with the lights on and the water running than you have homeless people. So that should tell us something that we need to readjust policies. We need to make some changes. And these are things that veterans need to be talking about. This is what the rally is all about. This is just what the rally is all about. We're talking about issues. We need to overhaul VA. These are things that we can talk about, come together, and rally to make sure that the politicians that we are electing are hearing us. Because what happens, every one of them is saying that, thank you for your service.
Right.
But they're not giving us the benefits that
they're not doing anything else other than just saying thank you for your service.
So we need to rally.
Well, let me make a comment on that. And what you said earlier is, I think, where we need to start. All politics are local. So you start with working with your county, then you go to the other counties and cities in Metro Atlanta, then you go to the state. And I think one way to approach this would take one item at a time, and one would be businesses hiring veterans. What policies do you have? And that would be a good starting point. And for veterans that are transitioning out of the military, and there are also veterans that have been out that need training.
And that need jobs. There are veterans out there that have been out of the workforce for a little bit, and they now need jobs.
Well, well, that's true, and I think we need to address the businesses about hiring veterans, and we've talked about this before, and by being able to let the veteran know that has skills, has discipline, because they were in the military, but it's not in the same lingo as the business lingo, so the businesses need to adjust to help the veteran.
One of the most expensive things for business people is employee training. Employee training is one of the most expensive things for any business. Veterans come with a lot of training behind them.
That's true.
Things that they could save money, the business guys could save money on by hiring veterans, because the veterans that we have in this country have the best training in the world.
No doubt about it.
Behind them,
we know that,
and it's not only fighting training, but technical training and all sorts of training that we get in the military in order to be able to function.
Well, for an example, logistics is big in this nation.
Yeah.
And we get, the military does a lot of logistic training and also technology. If you were in the military, almost anything you have done in the last 10 years, it had to do with the most current technology.
Exactly. The most current technology and the logistics technology that the military uses. The military is always using logistics. So they are very well trained in logistics.
Well, with that notion, I would just like to shout out to all active duty military, especially my grandson that just made E6. I just want to encourage them to keep on keeping on. One of the things that we realize, the freedoms that we have in this country, the capacity to do what we're doing right here at this station right now, and all the other freedoms that we enjoy would not be possible without U.S. military service.
Without military service.
We need to keep that in mind as we go forward to make demands on ourselves to make sure that we are doing the things necessary to make sure that these veterans' benefits are not reformed or strengthened as they are doing as they're doing every year when they do the budget. They come up with little techniques to make sure that they are cutting benefits. So if we don't understand that when you are dealing with the cutting of veterans' benefits, you are actually impacting the households and the communities of every veteran that served in the U.S. military. So let's just keep it going.
That is true. Do you want to take a break? Okay, we're going to keep rolling. We have some additional guests that is arriving. But one thing that you have on here is housing, affordable housing. And what I want to talk about on that is, number one, your credit score. Number two, how do you fix your credit to qualify, for example, using a VA loan?
Now, you just stepped on my feet, Herman. I just applied. And I had a 622 credit score. VA requires a 580 credit score normally to qualify for veterans benefits in terms of home loans. Now, what I learned in the process, they look at not just the credit score, but the credit history, how you paid your bills. If you got lates on there, you might not get a home loan. You won't get a home loan, matter of fact. So what you need to do before you apply for these benefits, you need to talk with a VSO. You need to make sure that your credit score is up to par and that your credit history is compliant with what VA is looking for. That's not just with the home loan, that's also with the business loan. So we need to understand how our credit score is affecting our benefits.
And okay, we're going to take a break shortly, but one other part to that. If it's not what it should be, what's your recommendation on getting it fixed? Well,
there are a lot of people a lot of credit repair gurus, but the VA has, the Vet Center has set up a system where they are actually helping veterans get their credit repaired or fixed. It's a process we could, you can actually do it yourself because of the laws, but it's a lot of writing. So that's why most people get credit repair gurus to help them do it. But I'm suggesting go to the VA first.
Okay. With that, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back shortly, and then we'll move on. But in the meantime, you're listening to the WCEG Network, your worldwide community empowerment group. Watch us on the WCEG Network at YouTube. You can also like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. and call in and join the conversation at 678-619-1402.